Hey, are you trying to put that up your nose? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I just got back on an international trip with my toddler. We went to Seoul, South Korea, and I'd say it was pretty successful. So I'm gonna share my tips and some of the products that I took with me. Nikash is 16 months old and he is in full-blown like destruction mode. And I hear this is like a bigger thing with boys, like boy toddlers are much more destructive and like, they have like all this energy and everything. And so I was especially worried about having him on an airplane. So one tip that a friend gave me was to take a red eye, and it's like a 15-hour flight to get there. So we decided to do a red eye, but it was at 1 a.m. It was actually really good, but on the way back we took a 9 p.m. flight, and that one turned out to be even better. And I think what the difference was on the way there, because I had to wake him from his sleep to get to the airport and then make him go back to sleep at 1 a.m. after the flight took off. I think the problem with that was the waking him up, whereas taking that 9 p.m. flight on the way back was so much better because I basically just kept him up until he absolutely could not stay awake anymore. And so he fell asleep like right before the flight took off, and he basically slept the entire flight except to wake up like 1 hour or so to get some milk, and like I think he used the restroom and stuff and wanted his diaper changed, and that was about it. I had a regular economy seat that I purchased originally, but whenever you check in for your flight, if you check in online, you can upgrade. Usually you have the option to upgrade your seat for a cheaper price than if you would have just bought it outright. So I upgraded to business class, and it really was like the best thing I could do. It can range between anywhere from like $300 to upgrade to like $1,000 to upgrade. And I'll tell you, it is really, really worth it if you are going on a flight overnight, red eye, with a toddler, because what happens is you both get to sleep. So we were able to, I created basically, it's like a little nook. Your whole seat lays completely flat, and it's like a little nook that you create. And so I was able to sleep with him for a little while. We just like spooned essentially. And then when I was awake, because he sleeps so much longer than I do at night, I just created like a little space for him, kind of like towards the bottom where my feet usually would be. And I just like put blankets and pillows and stuff, and he had a little area where he could sleep peacefully, not be bothered. He wasn't gonna fall out because it's like a nook. And I was even able to, you know, like get up and go use the restroom, get a snack, do anything that I needed, and just ask like a flight attendant to watch out for him if he does wake up. And it was so peaceful and nice. And the bathroom area is a little bit bigger and a little bit nicer in the business class area too. So when you're changing the baby's diaper and everything, you've got space. It's a really nice upgrade. So if you can afford it, you should try to budget for it and cross your fingers that there's gonna be an opportunity to upgrade. And I realize upgrading to business class is a luxury, but if you can do it, then I definitely recommend it. Let's get to the products that I took with me. I had 2 carry-on bags with me. These were the 2 exact bags that I had with me, and I tried to replicate the way I packed them so that you guys could see. I had also a Duna stroller / car seat with me. I normally would have had a roller bag instead of this tote bag, because tote bags are a little bit annoying to carry with you, especially if you've got a toddler with you in your arms, or if you're pushing a stroller or anything like that. The tote bag got a little annoying because it gets heavy, but I didn't really know kind of what else to do. I debated over taking the roller bag or not, and I ended up taking this with a small diaper bag. First off, if you're taking a red eye, the whole point is that you want your child to sleep, and so you want the situation to be as similar to what his situation would be at home as possible, which I realize it's not gonna be the same thing, but whatever you can bring from home with you to make it feel like you're doing your sleep routine, I think is very, very helpful, because it still kicks in their head that like, oh, these are like the things I use when I'm sleeping. This is the stuff I do when I'm sleeping. So I brought with me his pajamas. He wears these, not this exact set, but he wears like a zipper pajama set every single night. These are from Hannah Anderson. I love these so much. I brought 2 of these with me, one for him to put on. I let him run around in regular clothing at the airport, and then right before the flight, I would put him into his pajamas. And then on the flight, I would put his sleep sack on after the flight took off. That way he'd know it's like, this is time to sleep. This is what you're gonna be wearing, because he knows that when he's wearing his sleep sack, it's sleep time. And I brought his favorite blanket with him. This one, I actually have a second one now because this one's been so worn out and used and thrown all over the place, but he loves this blanket, and it was kind of key because I would just like hold him and wrap him in it, and he would just be like, oh yeah, it's my sleep blanket. It's time to, oh, and he'd just like fall asleep. It was literally like, that's how it would go down. I would give him his bottle, put on his sleep sack, wrap him in this, and he would just pass out. So that was, seriously, it was like a lifesaver to have these things with me. And I know like, this seems a little bit bulky, but for him, he loves this blanket. You might have like a Lovey or something that's smaller. That's even better if you have that, but this is what he's connected to. This is his blanket. If you're wondering about milk, I figured it out. I went through security in Los Angeles at LAX. I went through security in China, in Shanghai, and I went through security in Seoul, South Korea, and this passed each time. I took with me a Ziploc bag I would take, actually I had 4 of these milks, and then I brought 2 bottles with me. So Nikash needs a bottle in the morning when he wakes up. That's for sure one of his things, but I also wanted to make sure I had an extra bottle and a little extra milk in case he woke up in the middle of the night or he just wasn't liking the food or anything. I at least could give him some milk. This is Organic Valley. I got it on Amazon. I'll leave a link below for you. This is just their whole milk. It's their shelf-stable milk. You don't have to refrigerate this. So I was able to put a few of these into my suitcase to have with me on the way back. That way they were ready to go. I packed these into my CarryOn bag and their individual servings. If for some reason the bottle was dirty or anything like that, I could just give him a straw too. It comes with a straw. But what I would do is I would just pop a hole in and I would just squeeze it into the bottle of milk and I would serve it because it's room temperature. So it was perfect for him. I also took with me 2 of these. I took 2 sippy cups with me. One I filled with water. And again, they let that pass with water, which I was surprised about. I was like fully ready to dump the water. In Shanghai, they made me take a sip of it in front of them, which was a little strange to me, like if maybe I might be carrying poison or something, but they did. He was like, take a sip. And I was like, huh? He's like, take a sip. And I was like, so that was a little bit weird, but they let the milk go, no problem. And this milk, seriously, it saved me. Another thing is that Nikash really loves his pacifier, but you worry that on a flight especially, or in the airport, if they drop this, it's gonna get so dirty. It's so gross on a flight. So I made sure that I brought these. I had a ton of them everywhere. They were like in every nook and every pocket. These Advent pacifiers are his favorite actually, and they happen to come with little caps, and then they have these little handles, so you can get one of the clips and just clip it on. And then if he falls asleep with it in his mouth, it's not gonna fall to the ground. It's likely gonna be clean. It was really nice to have this with me. Next, I had 2 really simple washcloths with me. It might sound strange, but you need these on an airplane, especially if you're giving snacks and milk and all that kind of stuff. You need to have these with you. It was key. He would like constantly put his hands on things and get dirty and spill stuff, and it was just, he was a mess. Like, I can't believe how much of a mess a kid can be in an airport and on an airplane. So I would bring the little washcloths with me. He like took his sippy cup and tried to pour it out, so I was able to like wipe it up and stuff. So having washcloths with me that was really like necessary to have, because you don't want to carry like a bunch of napkins with you. And I obviously had like wet wipes, and I had his actual wipes with me too, but they're wet already. So if you want to clean up something that's wet, it doesn't really help. So having some dry washcloths with me on the airplane and in my bag that was awesome. I also kept a little baggie in case of emergency. I took a nose Frida with me, a little bit of saline. He was congested, so these 2 things were necessary to have. I didn't end up having to use them on the airplane because he slept, like I said, most of the time, but I did use these on the actual trip. I also took infant Tylenol and the Motrin, especially because it's a long flight. So, if he gets sick, if he gets a fever, I didn't want to not have these things with me. I took Advil for myself, and I luckily did not have to open it. All small enough to have with you. I took lots of snacks, and it turns out I took way too many snacks. What I should have done was just take exactly the snacks that I know he absolutely loves and will eat for sure, because on a flight, again, is when you want to have that stuff because it's really for emergency. And when I say like his absolutely, I know he's gonna eat them, he loves the applesauce by Brandless. These little packets came in handy. I had like tons of these. I even put them in my regular suitcase and packed them and checked them. That way I knew I would have some on the ride home too because he loves these. His animal crackers, he loves his animal crackers. And then, you know, like there were things like Cheez-Its and stuff, but really he loves like berries and stuff too, and I should have packed that stuff. These came in handy a lot. These are by Cheeky Kids. They're reusable sandwich bags. Before I left, his nanny did me a big solid and she made him some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because we know he loves those. And I wasn't sure he was gonna like the food on the airplane. So she made him peanut butter and jelly, and then she wrapped them in saran wrap and then popped them into both of these. And I kid you not, these were the things that he ate. Like the first 24 hours of our flight and our trip in general, he ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because that was all he really wanted. I like these clear little bags from Madewell. They're for cosmetics, but I find that they keep everything really organized, and you can see what's in them, especially if you have a big tote bag that's like the abyss, you know, it's like you just go in there and you don't know where things go. I carried things like my headphones, chargers, anything like that I needed. I had chapstick with me because I always need that. I had an extra charger for my cell phone, pens, because when you travel internationally, you always need a pen on the last part of the flight because they always make you fill out those forms, and just like the little essentials that you want access to right away. I took 3 pairs of shoes, but I ended up using these the most. These are by Native. He wore these all over the place. They're kind of like Crocs, but better because they're cute, and they have that material where they're like antibacterial or antimicrobial, whatever it is, and they're waterproof, all of that stuff. And they have little holes in them so his feet can breathe and everything. I found these to be really helpful for him to wear while we were walking around a lot, and they're really light too. So he wore these all over Korea, basically. But what I carried in my bag when we would get to like the airport and be on the airplane and stuff, I would change them into these freshly picked moccasins because they're so soft, and you know, they're basically socks or like slippers, and I would put him in these. Look how dirty though. So you want their feet to be protected because look at that. That's like from being in airplanes and walking around. Look how dirty they got. Of course I took toys with me, but you know what I find? At this age, the toys you bring really aren't toys. Like, he's just not interested in it. There are people around on an airplane. There are so many buttons to press. There are like window shades to open. Like, toys aren't gonna be helpful. Don't bother. It's just gonna take up space in your bag. I did bring a few. I didn't bring them in this. I actually used a Ziploc bag too, again, because I could see into it, keep it all separated and organized. The things I do bring though, and I found that were helpful on this trip, were stickers. He loved having stickers. What's funny about stickers is you can put them on him, you can put them on the seat, you can put them on the window and stuff, and they're like interested in like the way that they stick. These ones are thick stickers, so that you can't really put them in your mouth and swallow them, but if they're like thin stickers, then you have to watch for that. Post-it notes. A friend told me that when she travels on flights, she always takes Post-its for her toddler because, same thing, they're interested in these, and it's not that messy. I mean, you basically like hand it to a baby. Like anytime I hand it to Nikash, he'll do this, he thinks it's funny. You can take them and you can like stick them onto their forehead like this, and like stick them onto their shirt, and they get like so confused about why it's doing this, and then they do that, and then you can stick them onto everything else, and then they're, you know, they're curious about this, and it keeps them busy for a little while to give them Post-it notes. And then, you know, I brought things like cars, and he actually picked this out in Korea himself. It's the first time he's ever picked out a toy himself. He like saw it at one of the little stands and he like jumped out of my arms and like grabbed it. And then the other form of entertainment was I took my old iPhone and I got this, I did a lot of research and I got this intense iPhone case like that essentially protects it from everything, from like dropping and stuff. And I put it on there. I downloaded a ton of apps for a kid on this. That way he could play with it. This one is cool because it like, you know, you could clip it onto the seat right in front of you, or you can like lean it like that, or you can just let him play with it, which he also would do. And the thing that was annoying about it was he just wanted to press like the little button a lot, that was a little bit annoying, but then I would show him how to use the apps and he was pretty interested in that too. So this would keep him busy for a little while, and because I had the case on it, I would actually feel comfortable with him holding it. I took 2 sets of headphones with me. I took these because one, they're super duper cute, and they're like a little headband. So they go onto his head and he doesn't really notice that it's on his head. But the problem with these kinds of headphones is they have a wire. So I got another set of headphones as a backup, and it turns out these were the better ones for him. These are the Puro headphones, Sound Labs. They're kind of fancy. They had these, I think there were also purple ones too. But I like these because you can use a wire if you want. Once you charge them, they last for like 2 days. And what I like is they are wireless. They're mini, like they don't fit me. Look at that. See, they're not made for my head. They're made for a kid's head. Your child can't like blow out his eardrums with these headphones because they have a limit. And I think that's really important because especially if you're just not watching and your kid starts to like raise the audio level and you're not paying attention to that, you know that their ears, their little like precious ears, are gonna be safe with this. They're a little pricey, they're 99 bucks, but I think that they're gonna last for a little while. Like I can imagine that Nikash is gonna use these for the next couple of years as we travel, and he's getting more and more used to them. One tip I would give you is I had him play with these a little bit before we went on the trip. Otherwise I knew he was gonna be like, what is this on my head? Wait, I wanna take this off and see what this is, because you know, it's just not something that he was used to. So I had him wear both of the headsets before we left, and then like I had him kind of play with the iPhone a little bit too and see that this equates to like having sound to the iPhone, and I think he understood that. So it's really easy to connect to your iPhone via Bluetooth. Like I said, you can also connect with a wire, but what I liked about them was that these were wireless, and that was really, really helpful. As far as what was in my diaper bag, the MVP of my trip, like literally, I'm like burying the lead, I guess. The most important item I had on this trip was this. Basically, you keep this with you, it's really light, and it's a makeshift high chair. So the way it works is you unravel it, and then you put this back part over the top of the seat. It like drapes over it, and then you strap this around the back of the seat, and then you just lift it up and you strap your child into it, just like this. And it's genius because, and then this part goes around the seat too. And basically you know that they're safe in the seat, and then you can like push them up to the table, and that was so helpful. We used this every single day of the trip. Considering how often we used it, it was really inexpensive. It was really helpful. The only caution I would say is, you know, in a high chair, they have like a little table in front of them. And when you use this, they don't have that. You're putting them up to the table. And one thing I noticed Nikash would do was put his feet against the table and try to push back. And sometimes that would make the chair lean. So you don't want to put them too close to the table because they can do that with their feet and push the chair back. But speaking of eating out with your kid, I showed these. I always carry these. I carry a couple of these with me. These are disposable bibs. And I also carried, and this I used the absolute most along with this. These are little disposable placemats. And I always keep them in my diaper bag if you've watched my diaper bag video. They have little stickies on the backside, and then you just put it onto the table. I like to put it on the table and then like fold it under a little bit so there's only that much showing. And what it does is you can put like food on there and know that the table is clean underneath it, because Nikash can't use a plate yet. He will literally take a plate and like throw it. So we can't just give him a plate at a restaurant. He will break it. So this comes in handy because it takes the place of a plate, and it's his placemat, and everything is clean and sanitary. I carry these bags with me all the time. I got these on a trip to Hawaii. It's like a waterproof, water-resistant bag. If he makes a mess, whether that's with food or liquids, or he pees or something, the pee like gets out of his diaper. That actually did happen on this trip. It's never happened to me before. Ta-da! I was able to put that in here, and then it's separate from everything else, and because it's water resistant, it like held everything in there. Like this can be used even for like swimsuits, like wet swimsuits and stuff. You know, besides all that stuff, I carried like the typical diaper bag stuff. I had The outfit that I carried felt more like pajamas, but it was still an outfit too. That way if he messed up his pajamas, I'd still have something very pajama-like for the airplane. I also, some of the things that I had that were a little more extra in my diaper bag this trip was I had way more socks than usual in case he just wanted to keep his feet warm on the flight, because you know, like the temperature varies. I had a lot of these bandana bibs with me because again, we're stuck on a flight. I don't want to have to keep changing his top if he like slobbers on it or gets food on it or anything. So I would put these on him the entire flight while he was awake, and that was helpful, or in the airport. Other than that, it was very, you know, I had very like typical things in my diaper bag. I carried maybe like a couple of extra diapers with me, and maybe like one more extra lip gloss. But other than that, typical stuff. This diaper bag is awesome. I showed all of this stuff in my diaper bag video, my recent one. It's by Freshly Picked. It's really nice and light and cleanable. It's like easy to clean. And I made sure I carried kind of like a small backpack with me because I don't want to have to take too much stuff. And I feel like the bigger the diaper bag, the more stuff you'll put in it. This one keeps you under control, so it's good. So those are my tips. I know you're gonna do well. You know your kid. You're gonna travel perfectly fine. Don't worry about anything. Try to stay stress-free. Everybody around you will survive the flight. Who cares if they're judging you? You just gotta do what you gotta do. So you're gonna be fine. Have fun wherever you're going, because you're obviously going somewhere if you're watching this video. Tell me in the comments if you have any questions. I'll try to answer as soon as I can, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.